Hi all, I'm Yuksen, and I welcome you to another short box from Warhammer 40k's Grim History from the Beyond. This month I'm discussing the Crimson Fists. Now, last week I discussed one of the Crimson Fist's most important events, the Invasion of Rynn's world. This time, we shall be discussing the man who brought the chapter back from the brink of annihilation during the invasion of Rynn's world by Snagrod in 989.M41. That's right, it's time to discuss the Astartes known to the populace of Rynn's world as Lord Hellblade. Chapter Master Pedro Kantor. Now, Kantor became the 29th and current Chapter Master of the Crimson Fists in 900.M41. Records do show that prior to being elevated to this position, he had served the chapter for 250 years. He first rose to prominence at the Battle of Melkit Sound, where he, at the time a sergeant, he led the pivotal boarding action against the Orc kill cruiser, the Growler. Disabling the cruiser in the attack, the Crimson Fist strike cruiser, the Crusader, was able to break the Orc battle line and scatter the Greenskin fleet into the detritus clogged outer system. Kantor also proved to be both courageous and compassionate when he led his squad against all tactical sense to hold open the pass during the Battle of Braxa Gorge, saving thousands of refugees. Pedro Kantor is a heroic figure of the Imperium of Man, who has fought bravely to bring about victory when faced with great tragedy. His presence inspires loyalty and heroism in his troops. Unlike his close friend, Captain Alessio Cortez, Kantor places his duty to the Emperor of Mankind and to the people of the Imperium above his desire for glory or vengeance. His strong sense of honor sometimes leaves him torn between what is morally right and what is tactically sound. Kantor is faced with the difficult task of bringing his chapter back to full strength after the costly defense of his chapter homeworld of Rynn's world, and the recent reinforcement of the chapter with the Primaris Space Marines brought by Rabute Guilliman's Indominus Crusade. Now, during the era Indominus, history seemed doomed to repeat itself when Rynn's world was struck by demonic incursions during the warp storms that followed the opening of the Great Rift after the 13th Black Crusade. The demon prince Raxor and his hellish legions attacked, and the Crimson Fists were once more besieged upon their homeworld. 3 times Pedro Kantor led spearheads out to drive back the foe. When the Indominus Crusade arrived unlooked for, Rabute Guilliman himself gazed upon the piled dead of their foes, and commended both the chapter and their stalwart leader. In the aftermath of the battle upon Rynn's world, Pedro Kantor had much to do. The demons had brought ruin to much of the planet. The chapter, so painstakingly rebuilt, was once more decimated. And with Primaris Space Marine reinforcements provided by Archmagos Dominus Belisarius Call, there were entire new companies of Crimson Fists that had never known Rynn's world or the chapter's rituals. As in awe of the Ultramarines Primarch as Kantor was, the chapter master was overstretched to the point where he could do no more than thank the Lord Commander of the Imperium for his timely arrival. Pressed for time, Guilliman spent 3 solar days on Rynn's world as his crusade refitted itself. Before he left, Guilliman summoned Pedro Kantor. Arriving late and still in the same uncleansed battle garb, the Crimson Fist's chapter master felt trepidation as he stood before the Primarch. Guilliman, who did not miss much, instantly read Kantor's discomfort. For the first time in solar months, the Primarch laughed, not in spite, but mirth.
Be at ease, chapter master. I have not summoned you here for censure, but to speak earnestly. Rogel Dorn thought there was no higher purpose to the existence of the Astartes than the unification of mankind. I see that in you also, and his determination. I need men who fight bravely, even when faced with great tragedy. I've seen with my own eyes in recent days how you inspire intense loyalty in those around you. And I see you hold duty above glory or vengeance. My brother would be proud. Reassemble your chapter, Pedro, and look now to the future rather than the past. The Loki sector and the Imperium entire has need of you.
This speech inspired Kantor beyond the ability of words to describe. The thoughts that his gene-sire would have approved his choice stilled many questions that had long churned in his mind. And he set about the restoration of the Crimson Fist with a will. Yet the galaxy does not stand still. The war for the survival of humanity raged on. And with the opening of the Cicatrix Maledictum, the Imperium's battlefield had redoubled and its plight become more desperate than ever before. Even as he worked to build his chapter's numbers back to full strength, and to integrate the Primaris Space Marines into the Crimson Fist ranks, Kantor ordered other plans set in motion, some of which he had discussed with Guilliman on the day of the Primarch's departure. The turbulent years of destruction and the long, slow fight to rebuild had left the Crimson Fists with greater than normal strength of veteran warriors, whose expertise was now desperately needed amongst beset neighboring star systems. Kantor therefore authorized the deployment of veteran kill teams to nearby war zones. Their duty was either to escort tech marines and apothecaries while they aided local Imperial forces, or else strike carefully aimed blows to destabilize enemy forces, remove tyrannical war leaders from their power, and the like. For the first time in many decades, the Crimson Fists were able to dispatch a substantial number of veteran Xeno-hunters to join the ranks of the Death Watch, sharing their invaluable orc hunting expertise with their fellow Space Marines. Kantor also wasted no time in dispatching strike forces to worlds that seemed in the greatest need of aid. Provided with such a sudden replenishment of martial strength after so many years of hand-to-mouth survival, some chapters might have charged recklessly into every battle they could find, feeling they needed to prove their worth anew or exercise a long-felt desire for revenge. Not so with the Crimson Fist. Pedro Kantor's deployment of his warriors was measured, carefully planned, and meticulously orchestrated. Crimson Fist's strike forces arrived on Vigilis, plunged into the war zone Ryza, and initiated hammer-blow offensives upon half a dozen worlds in the Loki sector. Always, they deployed just enough strength to ensure the maximum conquest to casualty ratio. Always, they struck at the most strategic and consequential targets. Also, they demonstrated that long years of hardship had taught the Crimson Fist how to husband their strength and fight without ego or undue optimism. They must get the absolute most out of every shot fired, every blow struck, every warrior deployed before falling back the moment victory threatened to become Pyrrhic. With each victory, the Crimson Fist removed another greenskin infestation, another demonically possessed rogue governor or alien despot from power, and strengthened the Imperium's hold upon the Loki sector. Such was Guilliman's command to Pedro Kantor, the last words he had spoken to him before boarding his transport and continuing about his long crusade.
Make of this sector a fortress, untouched by alien hand, untainted by the touch of the ruinous powers. Create a stronghold of Imperial space that, in direst need, can become the linchpin of the entire segmentum. Lay low the works of the tyrant and the despot, Pedro, and in their place raise fortifications of adamantine and ceramite so that, in our darkest hour, you might do for the segmentum tempestus what you have done for your noble chapter.
After these events, he showed back up during the War of Beasts, where on Vigilis, a planetary asset deemed for the continued survival of the Imperium, Pedro Kantor led the forces of the Crimson Fist to the beleaguered Sentinel world, Kantor and his Space Marines proved instrumental in the defense of the Hyperia Darkden Footwall from the orcs of the Spear War. Now, before I end this Vox, I figured I would mention his war gear. First off, he wears Artificer Armor. Now, Artificer Armor is ancient power armor that has been constantly upgraded and adapted over the ages to the point that, in some cases, can offer the same amount of protection as Terminator armor. Likewise, Artificer Armor is extremely rare, and none of them are the same. As such, only the most skilled and worthy members of the chapter may wear one. Along with the Artificer Armor, he wears an Iron Halo. The Iron Halo is an ancient artifact that incorporates a powerful conversion field, similar to the Rosarius or Reflector field, that reinforces the resilience of any type of power armor the user is wearing. Most often worn by a chapter's captain and chapter master, veteran Astartes, and insurgents who have shown exceptional initiative or bravery on the battlefield, can earn the right to add it to their armor. Normally designed in the form of a spiked circle or half circle, it can take many other shapes, which is why there is a lack of a spiky circle on Pedro's armor in his most famous holo images. Likewise, the Iron Halo is generally, but not always, worn either on the helmet, left shoulder pad, or attached to a power armor's backpack or the gorget. For weapons, he has a power fist called the Fist of Retribution on his right hand, and the famed Dorn's Arrow attached to his left gauntlet. Now, for those of you who don't know what a power fist is, basically it's a somewhat unwieldy, oversized gauntlet that packs a slow but strength-increased punch. Along with this strength boost, it generates an energy field, allowing the wielder to pulverize and tear apart heavily armored vehicles and creatures. As for Dorn's Arrow, it is an ancient and revered weapon, named in respect for Rogel Dorn, Primarch of the Crimson Fist progenitors, the Imperial Fists. This venerated Stormbolter is loaded via a back-mounted, powered drum feed commonly seen on vehicles, carrying a vast amount of Kraken pattern penetrator rounds. This allows for a rate of fire almost on par of an assault cannon, which is around 3 times as fast as the standard Stormbolter, and the ability to penetrate thick armor plate. On top of this, he has it attached to his left gauntlet, leaving his left hand empty during battle. Well, I hope you enjoyed this short Vox. Join us next week as we discuss the first chapter master of the Crimson Fists, Alexis Pollux. If you liked, please follow, like, comment, subscribe, or become one of our merry band and join our membership program. Have a great day, and as always, until next time, this is Yuksen, signing on.